And the D.C. local government, they're considering having 16-year-olds vote, so they would lower the voting age from 18 to 16. And what do you think, as someone who's younger and involved in the political process? What do you think? Is that a good idea to lower the age?
Absolutely. I think that if I look back on my life, I wish that I would have been more politically involved, and I always felt like politics were something I was like, oh, I don't really care that much because I didn't really understand it. And I think that if you're given that responsibility, when I turned 18, I was given that responsibility of being a voter and having a voice, that if you give someone that responsibility, that they will rise to the occasion of being like, oh wait. It's like handing someone the keys to a car. Of course there's some people who are going to like crash the car, but 9 times out of 10 someone's going to be like, oh my god, this is a lot of responsibility, I want to make sure I don't crash this car, the car being the United States of America. So hopefully, I think that's a great idea. I think giving the power to a generation that normally would have no power and just have to sit at a dinner table and like listen to the emotional fodder of their parents, they actually can go out and make a difference themselves.
Yeah, because I've heard the other side of it is, oh, well, they're 16, they may not know enough about politics, and they may not know enough about the process. But then the other side is, well, then they'll get more involved because then they have the responsibility to get educated and vote.
Yeah, so. And not only that, but like younger people are they have so much more capacity for learning than any other generation. It's always the younger generation has a bigger capacity for learning. That's why we look at kids I was like on the plane just yesterday, and there was a kid that was like 3 years old playing Minecraft, and he was like building a full civilization, and I was just like, I'm in my 30s, and I'm just like, I could never even understand how to do that. And if you give there's kids on iPads. People are giving their kids phones. Like, you should give them the choice to vote then too. They could do their research. People don't give kids enough credit that they're actually smarter than they let on. I remember when I was 16, people thought I was like dumb. I knew more about stuff than people let on, and a lot of my friends did too. And I feel like that most of the time it's a cop-out from an older generation that might not want that kind of power given to someone else. It's just feels a little like a little bit of a missed opportunity. But yeah, hopefully that does pass. I think that would be great. It would get a lot more people involved in politics, and it wouldn't be so daunting when you turn 18.
Yeah. And you raise an interesting point about young people, all the content that they're consuming, children on iPads, iPhones, because you've probably heard the discussion of whether the content Hollywood is putting out that is being consumed by younger people, if that's affecting their behavior and related to violent incidents or whatever. What do you think of that? Does Hollywood have a responsibility to put out less violent content because young people are watching?
I think, Fred Rogers was an interesting advocate of this kind of thought process, right? That Mr. Rogers, that, putting stuff out there on a public broadcasting station for the public to consume. And it was always, death, violence, intensity. And that's why a lot of people I know now won't watch the news, because it's like negative, it's violent, it's intense, but there's information there that they need, but they won't do it because it messes them up. And then I'm like, but you're taking your kids to go see like this, or they're watching this series, or they're doing this, and it's there's nothing you can do about the content. It's just about being able to delineate between the idea of fiction versus reality, and the lines are being blurred more and more every day with video games and this loss of empathy between texting and captions and emojis. But that it's just the way it goes. We're moving forward into the future, and there's nothing you can do. If you were to take it away, it would never be taken away at this point, because it's too instilled in us, and it's almost become sentient in its own way. Like these phones are almost thinking on their own. I mean, it reminds me now when I need to when I get in my car now, it'll be like, do you want to go to work now? And I'm like, how did you know where I was going? Yeah, technology is just a part of us now, and the content that we're creating, it will just continue. There's no way to stop it. It's just about a matter of, just as this Me Too movement, all this stuff, it's about teaching children at a younger age not to be inappropriate. Like, it's just about like not allowing it to get to a point where you can't unteach it. And having conversations with your children, having conversations with families, and moving forward in a way that they're able to understand the content.